Good morning. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ken French, and I appreciate you coming on today's webinar. We're going to talk about some tips on how to improve your website, your web presence, for AEP. Right off the bat, I just want to let you know that my name's Ken French, and I formed a company called Snoozy Incorporated. It's basically a husband and wife company. It's me and my wife, Carrie. Long story short, we grew up in the insurance industry back in the early 2000s, late 90s. We used to kind of have a family owned business. My grandfather started it, my father ran it for 30 years. I joined the company, like I said, in the late 90s, Kerry in the early 2000s. And basically, we were like an FMO. The only difference was is we helped agents with more products than Medicare. We helped them with employee benefits, life insurance, individual health, and Medicare. We didn't sell insurance, but our clients were independent agents who did. And my job at the company was really to help our agents, develop a marketing plan, get a website, get an agency management system. Kerry was more involved in commissions, contracting, online enrollment. To make a very long story short, we ended up selling that business back in 2009. And when we sold it, my father, he retired. But Kerry, myself, and a few of my IT people, we formed this company called Snoozy. And basically, what we do is we work specifically with independent agents and we help them with their websites and we can help them with social media. Basically, we just kind of continued on what we were doing, but took it national. A few years ago, I met Amanda Bruton, and long story short, she is one of my clients. I have built all of her websites, her Medicare and Margaritas, her Miss Medicare, her Medicare Answers Now. All of those sites I've developed for her. I manage for her on a daily basis. And I think the thing that's important to understand is if you work with Amanda and you put business through her, her agents do get special pricing on our services. So you'll see throughout the presentation this address, bruton.snoozy.net. That is a special website where you can go view our services, view samples, and certainly view the special pricing that you're going to be eligible for. But really what we're going to talk about today, like I said, is some tips on how to improve your website and social media presence. So there's going to be kind of three categories we're going to talk about. One, we're going to talk about consumers and how they're searching for you when they've been referred to you and how you need to position yourself to have a good first impression. Two, we're going to talk about sales tools. What types of things can you put on your site that's going to help you before you chat with the consumer? And three, we're going to talk about customer service tools. Obviously, during AEP, things get crazy. So anything you can do to, make things more efficient, it's going to help you grow your business and obviously, retain the business. So, I think right off the bat, I always try to be pretty blunt about these things. I've seen this Medicare industry from pretty much the beginning, right? It's been about 26 years I've been watching. And, I think the thing that I see right now in 2023, there's been a huge spike of agents who have joined this market. Some of them new to insurance, some of them who sold other products like property and casualty, life insurance, individual health. Any way you look at it, there's more people selling Medicare. And, in my opinion, this can change your strategy a little bit. Obviously, there's some people who know what they're talking about, but the reality is there's a lot of agents who have no clue what they're talking about. And when these people who have no clue, when they're talking to consumers, they're basically beating up the consumers a little bit because, maybe the consumer's having a bad experience. And long story short, maybe that's how they find their way to you. They've talked to two or three people, they've gotten conflicting information. They go to a friend who said, hey, who helps you with your insurance? Who helps you with Medicare? Oh, Kathy Smith does. So all that's good. But I think my point is you can't assume anymore that even though someone's been referred to you, that just on blind faith, they're going to call you with no doubt in their mind. What they're going to do is they're going to check you out, right? The consumer, pretty much every consumer has a cell phone now, especially in that 60 to 74 range. They all have cell phones. So my point is that's become their computer. That's become their diligence. And you guys need to make sure that if people are going into their phones and they've been referred to you and they're saying, "Oh, well, let me check out this Kathy Smith," you need to have some structure in place to show that you're one of the good guys, one of the people who know what they're talking about. So you really need to have a website that comes up. You really should have a Facebook business page, a LinkedIn page, and now you really need what's called a Google business listing. One of the most common things I hear from people in this industry is they'll say, "Well, Ken, my clients, they don't care if I have a website. They don't care if I have social media. They love me because I take care of them." And I say, you know what? I believe you. That's probably true. We're not talking about your clients. We're talking about the consumers that your clients are referring to you, who've already had a bad experience shopping for Medicare or shopping for insurance. You need to stand out. You need to take control of what people are finding. So, kind of here's a quick example. If somebody went in and they Googled you, and I just put in, this is just one of the people I work with, I typed in her name. You can see immediately that her website comes up, her LinkedIn profile comes up, her Facebook page comes up, her Google business listing comes up. She's got 21 five-star reviews. If I'm a consumer, I'm feeling pretty good right now. Now, obviously, I can go check out the website. I can go check out these things, and I probably will. But to me, this is what you're up against. If you are somebody who's in this industry who kind of doesn't have these things, I mean, I don't mean to sound negative, but like you got to kind of wake up and understand that, you're a business owner. Yes, you sell Medicare, but and obviously other insurance products, but you also have to, you have to build a brand here, and you have to, obviously show your credibility. So to me, that's number one. Understand that people are searching. Now, what do you need to do? What are the tips I'm telling you so that if people find you, that you impress them? So I think the first theme I see out there is, you know, I'm not stupid. I'm sure most of you on this call have some form of website. I mean, we've gotten to the point in 2023 where that's, pretty much a no-brainer. Where I see most agents go wrong is their websites focus on what I would call product knowledge, right? So it's kind of like an encyclopedia of Medicare or ACA, just a tremendous amount of information about the products. And in my opinion, that's not the best strategy. The way I look at it is these people, especially we'll just use Medicare for an example. These people selling Medicare, they've already gotten 7,000 things in the mail. They've already gotten, 50 phone calls. They've been given the encyclopedia already. And guess what? They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't read through it and figure it out themselves. They waved the white flag and said, I need a consultant. I need somebody I can talk to who can walk me through this. So the point of your website is not to educate people on all the products. These people don't want the knowledge. They need to be educated on why they should work with you. So that, when I help agents with their websites, I tell them this is the first checkbox. We need to develop a section on your site where you're selling yourself. You need to have your picture. If you have an agency, you need to have a logo. We need to have a good page that reviews why they should work with you. And more importantly, what's your process? If I'm going to work with you, how does it go? Oh, well, I do in-home appointments, or we can do it over the phone, or we can do it over Zoom. These are important things to mention. Again, these poor consumers, they've been beaten up. I know there's a lot of agents out there, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but they have a model that says, I only do it over the phone. So there's some people who are kind of taken back by that. Oh, we only can do it over the phone. You can't come visit me. So if you are doing in-home appointments, like this is important. This gives you an edge. You need to be upfront. You need to have that in your website. Obviously, if you can have, client testimonials, to me, I think this is huge. Here's a sample of a website I've built, and this agent has kind of a little intro video. But if we go into the about section here, you can see it says, "Why should I work with Michelle Smith?" And if you click on that, we have a little picture of Michelle and a little overview saying she does personal, virtual, and phone consultations. If you keep going through that section, we have testimonials from people that she's worked with, little stories about how she came and sat with them and educated them on the difference between between Advantage and supplement plans. So to me, just simple stuff like this, it makes a big difference. And like I said, the consumer is looking for these things, and they're potentially comparing you to other agents. These could be the difference between obviously them calling you and not calling you. The second thing is you need to really have a game plan with social media. Um, number one, and I tell people this, I go, look, I personally don't like Facebook. I get it. It gets old kind of quick, all the complaining on there, etc. But the reality is I'm an analytics person. And if you look at Facebook's statistics in the last 2 years, 68% of women 62 to 68, they're going on Facebook at least 3 times a week looking at it. So there's your target market. And it's like, if that's where your target market is paying attention, let's try to get them to pay attention to us, right? So the first thing I tell my clients is I say, look, with social media, you have to make a decision. You're either in or you're out. You can't be in the middle. You can't be like, well, I kind of use it every now and then. No, it's totally acceptable to not use it, in my opinion. But if you are going to use it, you need to be accountable for it. So you need to have, like I said, a Facebook business page, a LinkedIn page. These things, they need to be set up correctly. So you got to have a picture. You got to make it look pretty. You got to have your contact information. And most importantly, you need to post educational content at least a few times a week. The number one phone call I get, especially this year, hey, Ken, I'm starting to realize I haven't gotten as many referrals this year. And I'm also starting to realize when people Google me, they find this Facebook page that I created 4 years ago, and I didn't even realize I had anymore. And people think I went out of business because I haven't posted in 3 years. I'm not kidding you when I tell you that is the number one call I get. So, like I said, you have to ask yourself, is this, am I going to do this and keep it active? So either A, you got to go in there and keep it active, or B, you need to find a company who can keep it active for you. And obviously that's something me and Carrie provide. But you also have to consider C. Maybe I need to delete my pages because I can't get my act together. At least people aren't going in and finding these terrible pages. So anyway, my point is you would be surprised how many people will look at these things, and like I said, they hold you accountable for it. Um, then like I said, the other thing we want to make sure we have is that Google business listing, um, which I think is important. I'm just trying to pull up that sample again. All you got to do is go to google.com/business, and there'll be a button in the upper right hand corner that says add location. And there you can put your company in, put your contact info in, put your website in. There is a little bit of a verification process where Google will, probably call the number or send you a postcard. But long story short, this is an important page, and it'll help you show up on searches locally. Yes, obviously, if people search for you, it'll come up. But if people are searching for Medicare in your area, it will help you come up. And this has just become a vital thing that all businesses across the world or across the type of business have in place. So that's something that you need to consider. As I talked about these three things. All right. So number two. Obviously, if people are finding you, that's important. That's going to help you get referrals. But I think it's also important to have some tools on your website that are going to help you before the sale. And, usually the number one thing I hear from people is they'll say, well, look, I spent like a few $1,000s on a website a few years ago. And gosh, I haven't gotten any leads. I haven't gotten anything out of it at all. And I kind of shake my head and I say, okay, well, how many people did you send to your website to ever do things? And most people say, well, never. I've never sent anyone to my website. Why would I do that? And I say, well, look, you got to kind of wake up a little bit here. It's 2023. Everybody's got a website. Everyone who's a legitimate agent, they got a website. So if somebody types in Florida Medicare, yeah, you're not coming up. You're not coming up. You're probably on the 80th page. and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like a good thing, a bad thing. It's just reality. On the flip side, you got to have a website. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I have so many agents who kind of, I feel like they've given up. I gave up on my website. Yeah, I have it, but I don't care about it. In my opinion, man, what a lost opportunity to really improve your business and get more referrals. So anyway, where I'm going is that your website can allow you to be open 24/7. And as we push towards the fall when it gets crazy and you're working 17-hour days, that could be the difference between 10 and 20 more clients that you enroll. So you need to really have things like the ability to schedule a meeting with you, right? If somebody's I always say, how good is your service when your phone is busy, right? How good is your company? Yeah, you're amazing when you're on the phone with somebody, but if you're on the phone with someone and someone else is calling you, what do you got to help those people? So, I've always been a big believer that, if someone calls and they get your voicemail, in the voicemail, tell them, hey, it's a busy time of the year. It's AEP, but I'm here to help you. You can go to my website and you can click on the schedule a meeting button, see my calendar, get on there, and I will call you at that time. To me, that's just an easy thing that most consumers are totally fine with and probably appreciative of. Two, you really should have an AEP FAQ page where you have your top 5 or 6 questions people are constantly asking you about. Just say, maybe it's after you've chatted with them or before you chat with them. Hey, make sure you go to my website, look at my AEP FAQ page. On there, it goes through the basic stuff. Maybe some of it just talks through like what you're gonna go through with them when you meet with them. Anything that gives you more structure, anything that gives you an advantage, that should really be on that section. Three, I've seen this more and more. I have clients who are making little videos. And it doesn't mean they're sales videos. I mean, I'm starting to see as we get ready here for AP, clients making videos about AEP, just kind of talking through, hey, this is what my process is going to be. This is the stuff I'm going to need, when I meet with you. And they have a little welcome video, 30 to 45 seconds, that goes through those things. Again, it helps with efficiency. And then four, you really need to make sure that you've gone and gotten some of these online shopping links. And just to kind of go back to that one sample I was looking at, you can see that in the upper left-hand corner, there's a schedule a meeting button. And when you click on it, and obviously this is an example of Amanda, but the consumer can come in, they can obviously click on a day, they can see the times that you're available, and then they can actually book a time with you. And to me, this is just something that's easy. It's free. You can go to Calendly.com. That's usually where I send people. I tell them, create a free account. They have a free tool. Test it out a little bit, and then just put that button on your site. Two, like I said, you should have some resources where people can go in and watch a few educational videos. They can go in and look at some frequently asked questions about different things happening, with AEP and with Medicare. And then four, you should have some little section where they can access your personalized shopping links. You would be surprised how many people have told me, Ken, during AEP, my favorite thing in the world is when somebody calls me up and says, I need standalone dental. And I just refer them to my site and I have them go into my Delta Dental shopping link or my, Emeritus link. So these are things that need to be considered. I mean, I go back to what I said initially. If you're one of these agents who says, well, I have a website, but no one ever goes to it, to me, that's kind of shame on you. You need to find a way to send people there. And getting that calendar, to me, that's something easy. Creating a little FAQ page, that's another easy thing. Like I said, I have a lot of clients who they'll use Zoom and they'll use their screen recording tool and they'll do what I'm doing. They'll make a little PowerPoint, they'll make a little video, and then four, it's pretty easy to go to your FMO to get your online shopping links. If you needed to get, product specific links like dental or, short-term health, those things can be, gotten from your carrier reps. All right, so into the third section, which is really improving your website for customer service. And I think this is probably the most important aspect, because as we go into this time of the year, you're obviously very busy, right? Like crazy busy. And, things start to fall through the cracks and things get out of control. So, I always say this has been a standard fact since I got into this business. The number one reason a client always goes to a competitor or they go to another agent is usually because they could not get a hold of you on the phone, or you weren't responsive to them. And one thing that has always shocked me is how many agents do a very bad job with their phone system. And I don't want to get off topic here, but what I'm trying to say is everyone on today's call should do themselves a favor and go in and use another phone and call your phone. And where I'm going is I would say that 50% of the agents I call, when I call them, it'll ring 4 times and then it'll go like this: the client you are trying to call's voicemail is full. Goodbye. And, to me, if I was that person's client and I tried to call up and I heard that the voicemail was full, to me, that would be a red flag that you died or that you went out of business. On top of the fact that if I then tried to Google you and I didn't really find a website and I went to your Facebook page and you haven't posted in 2 years, all these signs are showing that you're out of business. You're gonzo. So I guess what I'm getting at is I know that sounds silly to a lot of you going, "Oh, Ken, I'm not out of business. Of course, I'm very active. I was just on the phone." I get that, but the perception from the consumer is not that. So that's a big part of what strategy 3 is. Number one, go check your voicemail. Make sure that you're deleting old voicemails, because as those build up and you're not deleting them, it is possible your voicemail could get full. And that's exactly something that could happen during AEP, and you're not even aware of it. It's like a silent death. So, number one, make sure your voicemail doesn't go full. Number two, on your voicemail, make sure you give these people options. Don't just say, leave a message, I'll call you back. You can tell them, hey, I'm not available right now. It's AEP. This is a crazy time of the year. You can also go to my website, KarenSmithInsurance.com, and click on schedule a support session or schedule a meeting. And you can see my calendar and I will call you back at that time. You can also text me if you have a short, simple question, and I will try to text you back. I'm always surprised at how many agents say, I love texting, I encourage texting, but nowhere on their website, nowhere, anywhere does it say they encourage that. So, in my opinion, if you do encourage that, let these people know. And where I'm going is give your clients options for working with you when you're busy. I know it sounds simple, but it's a huge, huge game changer. So, like I said, your website, it can have the schedule a meeting session button on there that handles that. Your voicemail can be tuned up to reference the website. It can reference texting. More importantly, your website should have things where the consumer, and here's a sample. Like if you go under resources and go to client update form, I had one client a few months ago telling me that she was really getting stressed out about AEP, and this was back in April. And I said to her, I go, why? You got a few months. And she says, well, every summer I hand write 1,400 letters and I mail them out to my clients, basically telling them that AEP is coming and I need them to update their, give me an update if any of their contact info has changed, any of their doctor info has changed, any of their drug info has changed. And I put like a return letter in there with a stamp. And I'm just stressed out because last year, like only 30% of my clients mailed it back to me. And then I had to go call 1,000 people, in September and October, and it destroyed me. And I said to her, I said, look, that's crazy talk. I mean, like I said, I get that you're really trying to give like personal service, but you're running your business like it's 1996. And I said, even though your intentions are good, the end result is it's actually not a great client experience. So I said, why don't you consider building a page? And here's an example, like a little client update form on your website where, you can send them And rather than them having to handwrite some sort of letter and put it in the mail, they can just type it in and it emails back to you. Or we can even set it up so it goes right into your CRM. So she tried that this year, and instead of 20% sending it back, now she's back up to like a 75%, with the form. And instead of her handwriting letters, she's sending out an email. And I know that sounds basic and obvious, but just think of the amount of time she saved. It's just ridiculous. So my point is this is a basic thing that can easily be built into the site. The other thing I didn't mention is she focuses on Medicare, but she also has some retirement kind of a retirement aspect to her business. And she does a lot of annuities, income planning. And she said, Ken, since all these people have been going to my site, I've been getting more and more, questions about annuities because they're checking out my website and they're seeing that I do that stuff. And they always thought I just did Medicare, but now that they're on my site doing these easy things, the exposure of that, it's helping me cross sell products. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that, as we push into this busy time of the year, I go back to what I said 10 minutes ago. How good is your customer service if you're on the phone? And to be honest, most of you, your customer service is probably not acceptable because you're probably amazing if I talk with you, but if I can't get you for a few hours, there's nothing I can do. So that's my point is we need to improve the website. We need to improve our routing through voicemail or even having messages out there that says, look, it's a busy time. I'm certainly here. I want to help you, but here's my system for helping you. And I think that's all the consumer really wants is they want structure on what they can do to kind of get their problem solved. And then with doing that, I think it helps you kind of potentially cross-sell products. So again, I kind of appreciate everyone coming on. Hopefully some of these tips were helpful. I mean, I think the theme of today's webinar is this is a marathon and we're going into kind of, the tougher part of the race. But we need to always keep a mind on improving our business model and, having that web presence where when people are searching for us, it's impressive. That's going to help us get more phone calls and having customer service that's a little bit more innovative. It's going to help us increase our retention and probably get more referrals. So with that being said, if any of you are kind of pushing into this fall and you feel like your website isn't good enough or you don't have a website or you're one of those people that I talked about who just hasn't posted on social media in a while and maybe the light bulb went off that, oh my gosh, people are finding this, I would be happy to chat with you. I think step one is just to go to that bruton.snoozy.net. You can see my pricing if you work with Amanda. If you don't work with Amanda, I can still work with you. I mean, the pricing is a little bit more expensive, but I would be happy to chat. To me, that's the next step. Go check that out. Go at you on that site. You'll see samples of our work. You'll see what we do, what we provide. And if that looks good, I would be happy to set up a 15-minute consultation with you, talk through your product focus, talk through where you're at with things. I'll give you all the ideas I have. And if it's a fit, maybe we can work together. It takes us about 3 or 4 days to build out a new website. It takes us just a few hours to get your social media back in good shape. Appreciated everyone's time. I look forward to the next one of these and, have a good week and a good summer. Thanks again, everyone. All right. Bye-bye.